Good evening, Razorback fans. Welcome to the Thursday edition of the Hog Talk podcast presented to you by Vision Exterior. Tonight, we'll give you an NFL draft preview show. We'll talk about where some of the Razorbacks are picked to be drafted in tonight's draft, along with spring game talk and then baseball and softball to wrap things up. I'm Porter Hayes, joined by Adam Hall, and tonight, Adam, you are this is right up your alley. You're more of a pro guy than I am when it comes to the NFL draft. So, first, before we jump into the spring game, are you excited about the draft? I mean, speaking from a Ravens guy, were you looking for your team in the draft, or are you kind of like, do you wish you're Mike Vrabel right now?
Definitely don't wish I was in the kind of spotlight that he's in. I like the draft. Obviously, seeing who Baltimore is going to pick up. I'm not saying that they're always predictable, but I feel like a lot of their picks are typically safe picks, safe bets, which is nothing wrong with that. They've established who they are for a number of years. I think I get more interested with the draft to see the trades that do come up. Because there's rumors that Baltimore may be making some trades, so obviously I'll be looking for that. But the trade aspect of it is what I'm more in tune with, and the NFL draft also just always reminds you on how the NBA draft needs to be modeled after, and because the NBA draft lacks, it's one of those with the NBA draft. There's a trade that happens, but the team that has the pick does the pick for the other team that they traded with. It just doesn't make sense to me. And then obviously, we'll get to see all the fans boo the $62 million man, Roger Goodell, when he steps out on the stage. So it's always a good time, at least for the first few rounds.
And that's what's weird is the NFL draft is its own aura. Mm-hmm. It's the ones where like the fans go all out. I mean, it's crazy to see all the fans like really there, full gear. It's like a home game. They're ready to cheer on their favorite team. And what's funny is always sticks out to me as the Jets fans or the Giants fans. It's always the New Yorkers that show up and show out for the draft because they're the most vocal. But it's really cool to see how that is, like you said. You don't get that with the baseball drafts, weird in its own thing, just because how many picks, but you don't have that in the NBA draft. It seems like the NFL has kind of kept its popularity. So we'll get into that afterwards, but we'll start with the spring game coming up. Adam, I really have to be honest with you. I really wasn't looking forward to this. I was trying to get high. I was trying to, again, I'll talk myself into hopping myself up at times, but we're going to play some clips here in a second, and I really like how Silverfield's doing this. He's just mixing it up. Hey, man, we might have start left tackle with the second string right guard going up against the second string, defensive lineman. I like how his approach is. And I don't hate to admit it because we want them to do well, but he's starting to win me over. When I see him talk, and every time, other than that big interview we broke down a couple weeks ago, he's starting to win me over on how he carries himself. He's really sounding like a genuine dude, and I don't get a lot of coach speak out of him. He seems like he's just talking with one of the guys saying, hey, we're just going to lie and we're going to have fun. So I really like that approach to it.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked a lot about the various spring games across the country and how it's not that that great anymore. Fans aren't showing up across the board at multiple colleges. They're not as into it, like we talked about a few years back, which this was, of course, under Lane Kiffin, but Ole Miss brought out a dunk contest. They brought out all this other stuff for the fans. And I totally got that. I don't know what Ole Miss's plans are or were. I don't even know if they've had their spring game yet. But with Arkansas's, it's kind of for Ryan Silverfield's sake, you hope that, the fans show up again. Like I said, Monday, and I've said previously, I'll totally get it if they don't. But at the same time, he's taking a different approach to it. It's not ones versus ones, twos versus twos. I mean, mixing it up, I think, is best. Just to see where, because maybe they have some guys in the twos that are flirting with the ones, and you want to see how they go against, with the other ones. So I think a true game atmosphere can help some of that, of their determination on, hey, maybe this guy needs to be looked at to move up to the ones or move up to the twos from the threes. So I think that's better than just putting ones versus ones, twos versus twos.
Well, and here's the devil's advocate or the caveat. Does he really know where these players are at? He's new coach. You got a lot of guys that weren't playing last year. You have a lot of people, a lot of returning. So that's why I like how he's mixing it up, because he's not labeling this ones versus twos. He's like, I might put this guy against this guy. It opens up the possibility for competition all around the board. And I really like, especially with the quarterback position, you don't know who really you're going to have at quarterback, at running back. I'm going to pull up because we have the rosters here. But it's going to be really cool to see what KJ does, how he handles. All right, he has the chance. Like, this is, to me, it's his position to lose. Now, I'm not saying that can't come back, and KJ Jackson and then AJ Hill is listed. So you got AJ Hill on the white squad and Cade Trotter, and then you have KJ Jackson and Braden Fuller as the quarterbacks on the red team. So if we're going right now, KJ Jackson could be the projected starter. But what if AJ Hill comes in or Cade Trotter comes in and starts making waves? Well, this is not a team where you're going ones versus ones. And then another thing, you have AJ Hill, and who's his running back? Braylon Russell. You flip over to KJ Jackson, he's got Sutton Smith and Jasmine Parker as his running backs. So I really like how this is going. I think it's going to be good. And the fact that I do hate that it's not televised. I wish it was, but I see why they're not. But I think having the rosters set up the way they are, you're going to have some exciting football. You're going to have people fighting to make the roster because these aren't two deeps. This is, look, we're going to mix you up and go have fun.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And it'll be just interesting to see a lot of new faces, a lot of players that we knew about last year, but maybe didn't get to play much. I'm curious to see how, obviously, the quarterbacks, but how the wide receivers are going to pan out and play, because there's a few wide receivers that you have questions about. And again, I know this is a spring game, but are we going to see a little bit of life out of Courtney Crutchfield? Are we going to see Antonio Jordan finally get a bigger push in their offense? Who was it last season? Cisse. Yeah. He got injured last year coming in from Stanford, so we didn't get to see him at all.
And
Monty Harrison. What are we going to see Unk do? Is he going to get to break out? And then even with the running backs, even though you're having Braylon Russell come back, there's a lot of questions, because they've said he's slimmed up down to about, I think they said 227, 225, somewhere around there. We don't have a Mike.
That's perfect for him if he's going to be the number one back. I think he need that's going to be perfect. I mean, he is that good bruiser back at 230, 240 he was last year.
He's on 240, yeah.
So you can't have KJ Jackson running around in the backfield. I mean, it's just size wise, and I think that's going to be a good one too. But another interesting thing, I know how he was like, okay, we're going to mix things up, but you mentioned the wide receivers and having KJ Jackson, but yet having him paired up with Courtney, CJ Brown, Cisse, and Antonio Jordan. I think that right there shows, okay, but for every rule, there's an exception. I think when you are trying to get the timing down, you're going to need all the reps you can get with these ones, because there's going to be a big break between now and when summer camp starts. So I think this was the one where running back, okay, a little bit of timing with the handoffs and what to do pre-play and learning their check downs and stuff, but pretty much cut dry. You know where you're going, hand it off and find yourself the hole. with a wide receiver, that's all about your routes, the timing, when to look for the ball, where's it going to go, So I like the fact that he has, Crutchfield, Brown, Sissy, Jordan, the three main guys on the red squad. And then as your tight ends, you have Adcock, Hudson Hendricks, and Jaden Platt as your tight ends. On the white squad, you have Marshall, Bopple, Jamari Hawkins, Monty Harrison, Prevo, and Irvin. So this is going to be who is going to shine, because outside of, let's go KJ Jackson and Braylon Russell, yes, we know Antonio Jordan's speed, but who's the guy? Who's the one in the wide receiver that could be the next star? Who could be the next Satania? Who could be the next, Razorback? All these Razorback wide receivers are flying out of my head. I can't even name this.
Well, and I still, since we, since he committed to Arkansas, Antonio Jordan has been on my list, just being another Warren wide receiver.
Yeah.
So he's been one that I've been just, waiting for him to have the chance. But no, when you look back at the various wide receivers that Arkansas has, Joe Adams, Kobe Hamilton, I mean, you've got a bunch of guys that were that guy. They were those dudes. Keon Hatcher, Drew Morgan. I mean, there's a number of them. It's just a matter of who's going to step up, but at the same time, who's going to throw to them.
Yeah.
And who's going to be able to.
You're going to have, can we see multiples? Look, we talk about Tesla. We had Andrew Armstrong. Now they're all coming, Burks, they're all coming back to me now. But who is going to be, if you can have two go-to wide receivers and have a quarterback, and now I'm not accusing any of prior quarterback for doing this, even though it seemed like they were doing it, keying on one person. If you can go, we've said this, and you look back at 21 when all this happened, you're able to go 3 levels. You had a deep threat, you had your slant guy, and then you had your tight end. Who's going to be that threat at all 3 levels? Can you get one of these tight ends to produce? Can you get 2 wide receivers where you can count, where they're not double teaming guy on the top side, where you can somebody come underneath and hit a slant? What do they do after they catch the ball? Can they hold on to the ball? So having those timing issues and having that confidence, building the confidence between the quarterback and the receiver and quarterback and the tight end is going to be very crucial. And somebody put in the comments, Chris Marshall's going to be deadly at wide receiver. I think all these people, because there is not that go-to wide receiver, the go-to tight end, and you're coming off a 2-10 season, everybody has a chance. Mm-hmm. Nobody, I think this, I can't remember, honestly, when was the last time that you can look at a Razorback team, and this might not be a good thing. When was the last time you've seen so many jobs that are not safe? I can't count on this field when it comes to now I'm not going to break down the guards and the linemen and the linebacker. I'm talking about skill position between your receivers, your tight ends, and your wide receivers, running backs, and quarterback. I'm not seeing anybody where their job is completely safe. Every job's open.
100%. And I think, too, especially on defense, when you had, I believe, 24 defensive players coming in from the transfer portal, the defense is wide open, which rightfully so after having the defensive performance that we had last season. So I'm ready to get it going. Again, I'm not going to drink the Kool-Aid. I'm waiting until the fall to see the product that's on the field. But at the same time, I'm ready to start putting some of the pieces together. And we'll get a glimpse of a little bit of that Saturday at the game. Like you said, I wish it was at least on TV or something to be able to watch. But at the same time, for all intents and purposes, you hope it's a good showing for the team. Obviously, there's still going to be questions afterwards of who's going to be, get blamed. There's a lot to be decided over the summer and fall camp.
So the festivities, this is depending on weather too. I don't know exactly how weather's going to play. I haven't looked at the latest radar on Saturday, but kickoff is set for 2 p.m. But no official format has been revealed for the game. 10 a.m. they're going to have a car and truck show. They're going to have some interactive games, and kind of like the Hogtown was set up. 12:45, the Justin Moore concert kicks off, and then they'll have the game at 2:00. So it'd be an all-day
55% chance rain.
How much?
55% chance, but it's minimal until around that 1-2 o'clock time frame is when the chances go up.
So that's it might be one of, I think, cannot remember how far back, but didn't it rain and they had to end up moving it to the indoor facilities?
Yeah, I remember vaguely
anyway, but they moved it inside. So listen, for those people that have to pay your $10, I mean, consider it a donation if they do decide to move it in, because I'm sure they're not going to let you inside the practice facility to hold the spring game.
Maybe those $250 tickets.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe they'll put it on the CCTV, Yeah. Also, going to the fact of, do you think, you're talking about the transfer portal and stuff, is that, what if they, changed it where, the windows? Do you think they would start making sure that they have these spring games televised again? I think that's a big hindrance, because you ain't got to worry about somebody leaving. Now, again, my mind goes racing. Is it to the point to still where people can leave after the spring game?
No, I think that changed.
Okay.
I don't believe you can believe in the summer anymore. So that's at least out the window, out the transfer portal window.
And I couldn't remember again if it was or not, but that's another thing that could, if now you could kind of bring those things back. But again, if you aren't a Razorback Foundation member, you can sign up for the emails or text, however they're going to communicate with you, and you can get in for free. If you're already a Razorback Foundation member, you get in for free. If you choose not to do that, it would be $10 per person to get in. So consider yourself warned if you get there and they ask for you to pay $10. So, and we've already said our piece about that. We're not going to rehash it. It is how it is. So consider it, again, a small donation towards the athletic fund, because the Razorback Foundation is sponsoring this, and the players are going to be doing some kind of promotion. And sorry, I haven't seen any of that yet. Have you seen any promotion from the players?
No.
Promoting the spring game?
No, I thought I would. I've actually thought about that this morning on my drive to work, and I hadn't seen, and I mean, granted, I hadn't been on social media a whole lot, but nothing, the little bit that I have been, I haven't seen a whole lot pop up.
Okay.
Or nothing on the game, at least.
Okay. So there is that part of it. And, we can bring up negative stuff every show, but it's one of those, okay, you're saying that these players are going to be doing these small things to promote. Maybe it's the day of, I don't know. Spring game's not here yet, and there's still one more day before it, so they could promote it other ways. But you would think that there would be more of a push if you're really wanting people to donate. If you're using, again, how do we fundraise NIL? How do we do things? And you're saying that you have a chance to use the Razorback Foundation. Why not have a raffle for it? Why? I mean, if this is your one time to be able to facilitate using this as an excuse to give it to the NIL fund for them being a sponsor, I would use this opportunity to promote the heck out of it and maximize your opportunity to get the NIL fund, or go around with the offering plate. I mean, at this point, you're using this as a marketing plan. And that's what the big surprise is. I'm not seeing hardly any promotion about it. You see your social media posts and stuff, but I'm not seeing a lot of players do anything. Not seeing anything. It's not going overboard, and kind of disappointed in that. But again, it's just the spring game, so we'll see what happens. And I'm sure with what limited type videos, what limited footage we're able to see from the spring game, we'll talk about that on Monday.
Definitely. We'll see what happens.
What we're going to do, we're going to take a quick commercial break after the word from our sponsor at Vision Exteriors. We're going to break down the NFL draft, where 5 of the Razorbacks are projected to be drafted. Do we think any of them will be drafted in significant slots? And we'll talk about that more. And we'll wrap the show up with the baseball and softball schedule this weekend. We'll be right back after a quick break. Looking to enhance your home's curb appeal? Look no further than Vision Exteriors. As your trusted roofing, siding, and exterior experts, we're here to transform your property. Our skilled team ensures your job is not only functional, but also aesthetically pleasing. Along with roofing, we also offer window, gutter, and siding installation to boost your home's appearance with our quality options. Visit us at www.visionexteriors.com or call us at 479-397-4770. Let's make your vision a reality. And welcome back to the Hog Talk podcast. Talking about the NFL draft, it is tonight. I'm reading this off the Jets Wire from the USA Today via Jackson Fuller from the Fort Smith Southwest Times Record, talking about the 5 people that potentially could get drafted for the Razorbacks and what round. Taylon Green by the Athletic. We're looking at 4th, 5th round, and Adam, you'll like this. Per NFL.com, he is supposed to be 5th round, pick 173 to the Baltimore Ravens. So there's been the comparison. Could Taylon Green be the next Lamar Jackson?
No. Big difference. One won a Heisman and one was Heisman hopeful before the season, or a lot of people's dark horse.
Yeah.
No.
But don't blaze on him, because that will come back to bite you.
It's one of those. I know. Here's the thing with Taylon. I think he interviewed with 7 teams, and I know he interviewed. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Dallas, New York Jets, some others. I know a lot of those conversations were because of the NFL Combine and the numbers that he put up there. The thing, a lot of mid to late round quarterbacks are not going to be interviewed by that many teams like that.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of those conversations were truly the wide receiver conversation, which, as we saw and we've heard from him, it's not going to happen. And we've talked about that this last Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, like I said, I still stand on him obviously needing to keep an open mind, but I feel like that there's going to be a team that takes him, and with the hopes of being able to convince him to switch.
Do you think that cost him getting drafted opposed to and the route of undrafted free agent? Do you think somebody's going to pick him up, but do you think it's going to be as undrafted free agent in hopes of? I don't think so. Would somebody draft him guaranteeing them money, opposed to if you're because you're not guaranteed. Say you're a 5th round draft pick, you're not signing a contract and stuff like that, correct?
I believe you still have a minor contract.
Okay. If people is on the fence about him going to, move over to wide receiver, that could be a difference between 4th round pick and being an undrafted free agent. Which
5th round gets a mandatory 4-year contract.
Okay.
Earning approximately $4 to $5 million total. So he would still get. I think that he has too much athleticism to go undrafted. Somebody's going to take him. Whether that's 4th round, 5th round, 7th round, somebody's going to take him. Mm-hmm. I don't think he goes undrafted free agent purely on his athleticism.
Yeah. And that's good.
Teams waste more money anyway. They'll spend the $4 to $5 million on hopes.
And maybe it finally clicks. It's one of the things you hope for. And look, this society and a lot of people as men, let's just be honest. You think because you're going this route and it don't work out your way, you think you're a failure, but you got to sometimes take a step back and be like, yes, this door is closing, but yet I'm giving this opportunity to go be a wide receiver. And if this doesn't work out for you, but yet you turn into a great wide receiver, you won in the end. You became a better person. And guess what? You get to teach your kids and your grandkids, and you get to teach other. Look at Matt Jones, one of the most prolific quarterbacks at Arkansas, was a wide receiver. He went and made millions off of his athletic ability, but he took the route. He swallowed his pride, said, I'm going to go where the money's at. I'm going to go give this thing a shot, because he's that athletic. Plus, he played wide receiver in high school. He had a little bit of that, aspect of being a wide receiver. He knew the job. And for Talon, I just wish that it would click. Like, maybe I should get my head set on giving this a try, and instead of being stubborn and just being dead set on, because it could be the difference between you making a couple more $1 million in your career. Mm-hmm. And then what if you do, it does work out? What if you make an NFL career out of this? And I mean, Felipe Franks, look at what he's doing. You're making a decent career out of it.
Mm-hmm. And that's, I think that the conversation is going to be had whatever team he goes to. Mm-hmm. If I'm a team and I had, $4 to $5 million to waste, I'd bring him in hopes of making him a wide receiver. But here's the thing too, is what if he what if he's not a good wide receiver?
Yeah.
There's always that possibility. Yeah, he has the athleticism. So he's definitely one that no matter where you draft him, I mean, you're going to be taking a chance.
Yeah.
So I think that if you want to take that chance, you think you have that ability to convince him to switch, I think you take the risk and draft him, because teams waste more money on contract extensions and whatnot than that 45 mils, nothing to some of these teams.
Next up is Mike Washington. He is the Athletic has him a 3rd round pick going to the Seattle Seahawks. Then a lot of them now, NFL.com, ESPN, sorry, they had it flipped upside down. NFL.com and ESPN both have him as a 2nd round pick to the Seattle Seahawks. The Athletic has him in a 3rd round pick to the Seahawks. And then USA Today Sports has him in the 4th round, pick 113. All right, I'm going to ask you, how much of that do you think he boosted his stock off of that 40, his emotions, mm-hmm. and how he did, not just the 40 time, but how he was dude was in tears. And a lot of people, he caught some flack for it, which is ignorant, because this dude is giving his all. And you got to think, coming how Arkansas's offense did, going 2-10, and you think you're the laughing stock of the SEC as a team, and then you see Mike Washington, he went out and done his thing at the NFL Combine, ran the 40, and it could get him a 2nd round pick. And I guarantee you, outside of being a Heisman Trophy running back, that's an excellent pick to fall to the 2nd round, because running backs are not valued like they once were in the NFL. So if he could fall 2nd round, I won't say fall, if he could go 2nd round to the Seahawks, I think that is an excellent pick. I think that's an excellent spot. And it shows people, no matter what, man, you give it your all, no matter your circumstances at whatever college you go to, the NFL Combine is not just a joke where you just run around in shorts and a T-shirt.
I think that he was already a first few round draft pick just without the Combine alone. Just seeing his physicality, his style, everything that he's shown at Utah and Arkansas. I do think I do think he probably went from 3rd to 4th to 2nd or 3rd. I'll agree with that. And I do think that the NFL we're seeing a shift, not necessarily back to what the running back once was. But I mean, we're going to see tonight a running back taken in the first 10 for the first time in a number of years, I believe. So the running back is making a comeback, if you will. Obviously, it's not going to be at the level that it once was, but Mike Washington, I think, has the ability to be one, and this is just out of the Razorbacks that are coming out to the NFL in this draft, whether they're drafted or not. I think this Arkansas draft class, Mike Washington has the ability and has the chance to be the best out of it. I know that's not necessarily saying much because there's only 5 or 6 guys that are projected here, but I think it's him or Carmona that'll have the best NFL careers. But Mike Washington, wherever he goes, I think he's going to succeed. And I think that Seattle is a great place for him, especially since I believe Kenneth Darby went to the Kansas City Chiefs this offseason. So I think the Seattle is a good spot for Mike Washington.
Yeah. Next, Julian Neal, athletic 4th-round pick to the Chargers, Los Angeles Chargers. USA Today has a 4th-round pick. So all these have 4th-round pick. You have either the Chargers, Cowboys, Jets, or Titans. And I know, look, when these people are writing these articles, you get the 3rd or 4th round, they're kind of throwing things out there. So, but this is the one that I'll tell you what, for as much crap as the defensive got last year, he was that bright spot. I mean, he was out there making plays. He was the one, I would honestly say, the lone bright spot of the defense. So for him, again, it's like the defensive version of Mike Washington. He goes out there and he makes a name for himself in the combine. He comes out. He could have a healthy career in the NFL. I think he has the talent and what it takes to make it on an NFL roster, or be a journeyman. You never know. But for him to overcome all that, because he could have just given up and not did anything. So I'm excited for him. I'm excited to see what he does in the NFL. So they're projecting him 4th round. It'd be nice to see 4th round, 3rd round, 4th round for him, because that shows him that somebody's believing in him to right there on the fringe of making the cut, making the 60-man roster, and landing on an NFL team.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing for a lot of these guys, 3rd, 4th, 5th round. You got to come in and bust your ass when you get to training camp. And I think that's something he's got it in him. It's just a matter of, like we've talked about before, with some of these players getting in your head, showing up every day, etc. He's got it in him to do it. So I think that 3rd round could be a stretch. I'd love it for him, obviously, but I was thinking 4th, 5th round for him.
Now, we'll group the last two together, because it's surprising that these two guys you looked at as captains. You looked at them as leaders of the team last year. Fernando Carmona and Cam Ball, 5th, 6th round picks. USA Today has Carmona as a 4th round pick to the Cowboys. Now, ESPN not available, so I don't think ESPN has them drafted. And then Cam Ball, USA Today and ESPN don't have any draft pick for them. The Athletic 5th round of the Kansas City Chiefs, and NFL.com round 6 to the Buffalo Bills. And with your knowledge, NFL, the line play, I mean, there's the big difference between college and NFL. Where do you see them? Where do you see them where they need to grow to really, I guess, even if they do get drafted, land a serious spot on an NFL roster?
Carmona, and who was the other? I forgot.
Campbell.
So with Carmona, I think he needs to work on his footwork a bit. And I do think at times, which there's plenty of offensive linemen in the NFL that are head cases. I feel like you kind of have to be to line up and just go head to head with a 350-pound defensive lineman play up to play. Yeah. But I do think that he needs to, I don't want to say mature a little bit, but at the same time, like, to be able to control some of his, I don't even know if I'd call it anger issues. I just feel like at times he acts out a little bit. And I know that it happens in the NFL, but I just think that's got to cut down. But no, I think his footwork needs a little bit of work. But like I said, I think that he has the chance to be, him and Mike Washington, the two have the chance to have the best NFL careers out of this group. I love Cam Ball, and I expected a bit more out of him this last season, but obviously the defense was atrocious itself. but I hope he lands somewhere that he can work, because he is going to have to work and claw his way up. But we've seen several Razorbacks do it before, especially on the defensive line. Some that might have fallen undrafted free agents and still end up making 60-man rosters. Yeah. So I think Cam Ball has the work ethic in him. I just think finding the right team to work with him is going to be his make or break.
And, that's where we're at with this team. I want to get it back to where Arkansas is that one of the preferred destinations in the SEC, where they can at least say, hey, look, we're going to get you drafted. We're going to get you on an NFL roster. We are going to develop you. And what did you think? I mean, how much of a stretch is that to ask? How big of a hill does Silverfield have to climb to really get some of these guys in here? Because again, it's a lot different ball game when you're talking about John Calipari and bringing in a kid right out the gate, freshman. Now he's going to be a lottery pick. You got to really pick and choose who you're coming in and develop them and hope they stay. But yet when you're going through your recruiting in the transfer portal, really grading these guys to come in and develop them, or just if they're already, I would say, a draft pick or all SEC, getting them to the point to where you're making the most, almost like a Drew Sanders. You give them to the point where they might be a mid undrafted free agent to getting them on an NFL roster. What's it going to take for Silverfield and his staff to do that?
Win, point blank period. And by that, I don't mean win 9-10 games. Obviously, that's a stretch. But I think that you're going to have to get back to bowl games. I think you're going to have some definitive wins. I think you're going to have some big wins where, you're the underdog and you take down a ranked team. We've seen it happen before that, Arkansas knocks off a high-ranked team, like Tennessee, when they were ranked number 4. And you see the commits that fall after that. So it's one of those, you're not going to get them after you've gone 2-10, like Arkansas did this last season. So to do that, you're going to have to get back on the winning side of things. And I think you're going to have to be at 500 or above just to even be able to be on some of these guys' radars, to be able to go to these players at Alabama or Georgia that are 4 and 5 stars, but that are sitting on the bench because they're behind other 4 and 5 stars, like that happened with Drew Sanders. Those guys aren't going to come to a 2-10 team. So you've just got to get back on the winning side of things. And so I think your starting point is getting back to 500 and then going from there.
And the thing is, too, do you think that's doable in year one? I mean, say you do, because another thing is like, okay, it's easy to go up from 2-10, but let's see where you can build on that. Do you think, say they do win 5, I mean, he takes this team to a bowl game or right there on the fringe. Let's say it's coming down to that LSU game. They're sitting at 5-6 or whatever, and they lose that one, and it doesn't make them bowl eligible. Do you think that's good enough to start the trend of building this program? Because again, unlike other people that are saying he's going to turn this thing around in year one, I don't think with the talent that they have, this, again, it's no knock, because Ryan Silverfield can only do what he can do right now with this roster, this staff, and the transfer portal year one. But if he could get this team to 5 wins, I would say that would be a success to me, because I'm thinking 2-3 wins.
Mm-hmm.
He could, and this is, I'm not saying he has to double. I'm not saying he has to double the win total of my expectations. I just think if he does that and he sees what he's been built from scratch, I think that goes waves, and then you build on that. And if he can do it again, that year 2, again, I've said that's going to be the tail year. If he can do it again in year 2 and go 5 or 6 or maybe 7 wins, I think that's going to be when things start rolling.
I mean, if he can get to 5-ish wins, I think that would be huge because I've got them at 3 wins. That would definitely show with the players, all the players that he brought in, the selection that he had to choose from, because obviously it wasn't the greatest after coming off a 2-10 season. But if he can pull that off, he can show that they can maybe win a few big games, be in a few other big games to at least be competitive. You show a glimpse of how things can be or will be. I think that'll help entice some folks to come over. It's just a matter of how are you going to get this team that you currently have to that point. So I think that's what we talked about before, is him putting this team in those positions to win those 1-score games that we couldn't win this last season.
Yeah. And I usually don't bring him in. He gives me hell but I do want to say we're talking about, I love you, Porter, but Clemson sucks. But that leads me to my next point, this all-in motto. Who started the all-in motto?
He started it at Memphis.
Dabo Swinney started at Clemson in 2008.
It's all recycled.
But to me, it's like I've heard it for 15 years, 17 years. So it's funny when we're seeing, what are we tired of at Arkansas? We're hearing gimmicks. Now we're seeing this all in, which, I mean, Dabo was preaching that in 08. So, Greg, it's good to see that Arkansas is having to swipe something from Clemson to try to build their program. I like it, but I've heard it for about 17 years now. So but
at least you got some national championships.
I do. I've got 2 actually. So, it's one of those things. So it's all over. But I will say this. All right, all jokes aside, it's better than the no clock thing. I'm glad they moved away from that.
The time is now, or whatever it is. Yeah.
And Razor built. So now we're at the no clocks. I can't remember what the exact phrase of that was. There was no clocks on the walls, and then it was Razor built. Now it's all in. So we're not even to the spring game, and we're 3 sayings in a fan base that's left lane, full tilt boogie, vanilla by design. Yes, sir. Cold beer. So if we're going to go that route, we need to start winning games, because Arkansas is tired of the sayings and the gimmicks and the phrases.
But I like sucks too is you throw them in on T-shirts, and then in 2 to 3 years, you have to put those T-shirts on sale because the coach is going to get fired.
Yeah,
and people don't want to ever wear them again. If anybody has a left lane hammer down T-shirt, I'd like to see it.
I think they sent those all over to the Club Dub warehouse.
Yeah.
I think
might have sent them to a third world country, and
yeah, there's a lot of kids who think Arkansas went bowling.
Yeah,
Larry the bowling ball, But no, I mean, all seriousness, it's the fact you want him to do well, but it's hard. And again, I know how he wants to get his guys going. And look, there was a lot of flack. There was a lot of mixed emotions about the whole hypnosis video. But when we posted the video, I posted the video, there was a lot of people in the comments just clowning Arkansas. They were clowning, and a lot of Razorback fans were like, here we go again. So I reposted it and was like, okay, we made it to the spring game and everybody's already laughing at us. So there's a lot of people, rightfully so, that took offense to it, because, they are like a lot of Razorback fans. They just want to see things turn around. They're tired of all the negative talk. They're tired of everything being turned into a joke. But until Arkansas starts winning and they start turning things around, that's how Arkansas is going to be perceived. And when we're seeing the gimmicks and all this stuff, they're like, okay, let's win first and then talk about doing these things.
I mean, it's you got to win. And if you're not going to, I mean, it's just going to be a rough road for him, fans, us, because especially, it's one of those, like, we have to live with these sayings, and we're just going to like use them as, sarcastic undertones for the rest of your tenure here. But it's whatever at this point. Just go out field and win. That's all that matters.
Well, you look at the schedule, and again, we have a lot of time between now and September 5th when North Alabama rolls into town, um, to go over the schedule in Utah game 2. So you're at Utah. It's going to be where you're really going to find out where this team's at. And it'd be awesome that would be a good statement if they could go to Utah and compete. Not saying they have to win it, but you go to Utah and compete, you come back, yeah, you're playing Georgia, but that's what it's going to take. It's not going to be the phrases. It's going to be, you're going out there. Nobody is giving you, outside of whoever wants to be the sunshine pumpers or the people who are going to stand by. I think they're standing by what they say just in case they're right and they get to, or Arkansas goes on a whim and wins 4, 5, 6 games so they can have something to be positive about, or they're being paid to be positive. But yeah, it'd be nice to see them go to Utah and compete. And then you got to turn around and go play Georgia. And then you got Tulsa and Texas A&M. So that right now, game 2, pretty important game.
Definitely. I think you got to beat the North Alabama, the Tulsa, and then, try to beat out a Vanderbilt and Missouri.
Yeah.
And Auburn. Do we play Auburn this season?
Yes. That was what that 3-game stretch I was talking about.
So I think those, and even South Carolina, the unknown with them after this last season. So you have 4 games right there that we don't know. Of course, after game 1, 2, or 3, those teams could look totally different. Mm-hmm. So as could Arkansas. So we'll see what happens. But I'm just looking at the 3 wins.
And we'll break this down more. We'll talk about this. This will be a good focal point when we're talking about, after the draft, after this weekend, because I really want to point out, like, you're talking about the fire. If you can get through the fire of Utah, Georgia, A&M, and Tennessee, if you can get through that fire, you could come through that. And I'm saying, even if you lose all of them, let's go. Say you win, you go 1-3. 1, 2, 3. 1-3 in those 4 games. You have Vandy, Missouri, Auburn, South Carolina back to so you can turn things around. And we'll break that down on Monday, and we'll go through it game by game, because again, we don't know who Arkansas is going to have, and at this point, we really don't know who anybody else has. So it is all about how you make it and going all in.
See what happens.
For the baseball softball team, they both play Missouri. Arkansas will be playing tonight at 7 when we wrap up here. They'll be starting tonight. Weather pending. I looked at the radar earlier and looked like they were getting some bad weather up that way. I don't know if it's passed or where that's at, but they're playing a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series at Missouri tonight at 7. You can watch that game tonight and tomorrow night on the SEC network at 7. Looking to get back on track in the SEC play after their 12-4 win over Missouri State, thanks to the Rally Cat. And then Arkansas softball welcomes Missouri to Bogle Park. They'll play tomorrow at 5. Bree Ellis bobblehead giveaway, and then they play Saturday at 11 a.m. early start on Saturday, and then 1 p.m. to finish out the series on Sunday. So Missouri Tigers for the baseball softball team, much needed bounce back for both teams after their losses last weekend to OU and Georgia.
Definitely. Hope they get back on the winning side of things.
Yeah. So Arkansas softball right now, they are currently 37-8 overall, 11-7 in conference play. Baseball, they are sitting at 27-15 and 500, 9-9 in conference play. So big implications for them as we are starting to wind down to the second half of the conference season, and big telltale sign on where these teams will be playing postseason ball.
So, definitely.
Adam, you got anything else before we wrap it up?
No, draft time.
All right. The draft is coming, so stay tuned for that. We'll give you all the updates on where, if they are drafted tonight, where they are drafted to. So stay tuned for that. For Adam Hall, I'm Porter Hayes. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, our fans, sponsors. Hog HQ Live, Sunday night, 8:05. We'll come back to you Monday at 6:05, and we'll catch you on Monday.